Assalamu alaikum. I'm Muqaddas Education Wali and I'm a student in Enhanced School Foundation course batch 2. Today I will be asking questions from Maya based on the topic of sky, the word that stretches beyond horizon. So let's get started.
What's up?
Hi, so I'm going to ask you a question based on sky, the word that stretches beyond horizons. Can I start?
Definitely. Go for it.
Okay,
What's your question?
so
I'm listening. What do you want? Yeah?
what does the word sky generally refer to in everyday language?
Everyday language. That's the sky basically means everything we can see when we look up, the blue, cloudy expanse above us where the sun, moon, and stars hang out. It's where weather happens, basically the visible part of the atmosphere we live in.
So, how have humans historically described or imagined the sky?
Humans have been looking up at the sky for literally forever, so the ways they've described it are pretty wild. Before telescopes or even a good understanding of science, ancient cultures saw the sky as this divine realm, a home for gods or spirits. There was a belief that patterns like constellations held messages or told stories. People believed they could predict weather or even your future from reading the sky. Mythologies in almost every culture have elaborate sky gods or sky worlds. Think Zeus, Amaterasu, or the Mayan sky gods. Early texts talk about the sky being a solid dome holding up stars. Once people started mapping the stars, it shifted toward trying to understand a physical structure rather than just seeing it as magical. But even then, the idea of a heavenly sphere stuck around for centuries. Different cultures just imagined different stories in it, but it was almost always the sacred space up there where all the really important stuff happened.
So, why is the sky considered limitless or boundless?
That's a good question. It feels limitless because when we look up, our perspective stops at the horizon. The sky seems to go on and on without actually seeing an endpoint. It's this visual effect where the edges of the sky just aren't there. But that's just visual trickery. Physically, the sky as we see it, the atmosphere, actually has pretty firm boundaries, especially when you're talking about where it merges into space. So it's boundless in how it feels, but not really in reality. We give it that impression because our senses can't grasp the full picture. Does that make sense?
Yes, so what natural elements can we observe in the sky?
Well, all kinds of stuff shows up. The sun, moon, clouds, of course, different types like cumulus, cirrus, stratus, stars at night, planets like Venus or Mars. Sometimes you get meteors shooting across, though they're more rare. Auroras show up in high latitude regions, northern lights, southern lights. You can spot different weather phenomena like thunderstorms, rain, snow, hail. There's atmospheric optics too, like rainbows, halos around the sun or moon, sun pillars. And on top of all that, you've got birds, planes, pollution, satellites orbiting overhead. The sky's actually pretty crowded when you really start looking.
How does the sky change during different times of the day?
Oh, massively. Early morning, you'll catch those pale pinks and oranges creeping up at sunrise, some of the calmest light of the day. Mid morning turns into that brilliant blue, most vibrant part. Around midday, things get really intense, that bright overhead blue with sharper shadows. In the late afternoon, you get that golden hour look, everything warm and long shadows. Then sunset puts on a whole show, reds, oranges, purples, sometimes those really dramatic cloudscapes, and then transition to twilight. That in between zone between day and night, everything gets that hazy, soft. When the sun sets completely, you get stargazing mode. And depending on light pollution, you'll see different levels of detail. Every shift changes not just color, but the whole mood of the sky itself.
What layers make up Earth's atmosphere?
Okay, so Earth's atmosphere isn't just one chunk of air, it's got layers. Closest to us is the troposphere, which is where all the weather happens, about 7 to 20 kilometers up. Then you have the stratosphere. Jet planes fly here. It's got the ozone layer that protects us from radiation. Next is the mesosphere, where meteors burn up. Above that is the thermosphere. Gets pretty hot from solar radiation, but it's super thin air. And then the exosphere, where it basically fades into space. It's all mixed together, but each layer has different temperatures and compositions.
Why does the sky appear blue during the day?
That's a classic. It's all about something called Rayleigh scattering. Basically, sunlight's made up of all the colors, but blue and violet light gets scattered around the most by tiny air molecules. We see the sky as blue because blue light is getting bounced everywhere in our field of vision. If we saw wavelengths from all those colors together evenly, the sky would look white, like sunlight. But blue scatters the most, so we see bullshit beeping. Sunsets are red for a similar reason, more distance. The light has to travel through the atmosphere, so only the reds and oranges get through to our eyes.
What causes sunsets and sunrises to appear red or orange?
So remember how I was saying blue light gets scattered? Well, at sunrise and sunset, sunlight has to travel through way more atmosphere to reach you. All that blue light gets scattered away before it even gets to your eyes. Longer wavelengths, like red and orange, make it through the thicker atmosphere, so those are the colors we see. Basically, the same process as why the sky's blue, but reversed. Less blue, more red when the light's traveling through more air.
How do clouds form in the sky?
Clouds are pretty basic, really. Warm, moist air rises, which it does because warm air's lighter. As it goes up, it cools, which makes the water vapor in that air condense around tiny dust particles like pollen or pollution, creating water droplets or ice crystals. Millions of these droplets or crystals become visible as clouds. There are different types depending on how high up the cooling happens, the amount of water vapor, and the atmosphere's conditions, but condensation is the key process that makes everything happen.
What role does the sky play in protecting life on Earth?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you say that again? I think there might be a transcription issue.
What role does the sky play in protecting life on Earth?
Oh, right. Good question. The sky, meaning Earth's atmosphere, plays a huge role. First off, it blocks most of the harmful radiation from the sun, like ultraviolet rays. The ozone layer in the stratosphere is key for that protection. It also helps regulate Earth's temperature. Atmospheric gases trap heat, creating a greenhouse effect that keeps things habitable. The atmosphere creates air pressure we need to survive, holds oxygen to breathe, and supports the water cycle, which is essential for ecosystems. So, honestly, it's pretty much the barrier between survivable conditions and a planet like Mars.
So, how is the sky used as a symbol in poetry and literature?
Skies, this giant universal metaphor that pops up everywhere in art. It's commonly seen as freedom, hope, or vastness. Bright skies signal peace, opportunity, or spirituality. Dark and stormy skies often stand for upheaval or inner turmoil. The endless quality means it can mean infinity. The sky is usually the backdrop for transcendence or the unknown. Authors describe emotions using the sky, cloudy moods versus brilliant moments. The vastness gets used to show human insignificance when we're thinking about our place in the universe. And then there's the whole heaven is sky thing, where skies become portals to the divine or afterlife. That's flexible enough to stand in for both personal feelings and cosmic dramas. It's pretty versatile symbolism, right? Oh no, are you wrapping up for tonight?
Okay, so why do many cultures associate the sky with freedom or hope?
Good question. I think the association probably starts with a few things. From a basic level, humans have always looked up as a way of seeking something beyond limits of earthly boundaries. Skies literally have no walls. They represent what's beyond reach and unrestricted movement. Historically, many cultures viewed certain directions as auspicious. Looking up could have literally meant looking toward the realms of gods or spiritual guidance. Skies represent open expanses. It's a way of thinking about possibilities instead of constraints. Maybe the hope part comes from blue skies, usually meaning good weather after storms or hard times. The idea of clearing skies as symbolic of brighter days ahead.
How does the meaning of sky differ across civilizations?
That's a really interesting question. It varies a lot. In ancient Egypt, the sky goddess Nut arched over the earth, protecting people, literally becoming the sky itself in some mythology. For the ancient Greeks, it was typically connected with Zeus, the sky's king and divine power. Some indigenous American tribes saw the sky as a portal or pathway between worlds. In Chinese cosmology, sky was about governance and the emperor's role. And in different African traditions, the sky became a place for ancestors or spiritual beings. Each worldview saw it differently. Either it was a divine space, a pathway to other realms, or divine power. The relationship between the heavens and civilization varied culturally.
So, what emotions do people commonly connect with looking at the sky?
Hmm. People's responses are pretty universal. Awe's a big one, especially when they see something huge like a thunderstorm or endless starry night. Calm and peace come up a lot. That openness makes people feel grounded. Wonder's really common. Just that feeling of being small but connected to something way bigger than you. Sometimes people feel nostalgic, reminds them of childhood or peaceful memories. And of course, loneliness can creep in if someone's feeling introspective. That vastness can make things feel solitary. But generally, there's something about looking up that really taps into a deep emotional response.
How has the sky inspired myths and stories throughout history?
Oh, constantly. The sky's been the backdrop for stories forever. Constellations got their names from myths about Greek gods, heroes, or creatures from different cultures. Gods live in it: Zeus, Ra, um, Amaterasu. The creation stories and lots of myths begin with separating heaven from earth, like sky is the first thing to exist. And mythology uses skies to tell tales about how the world began or explain seasons, sunrises, sunsets, and that vastness, perfect for epic journeys or tales of immortality. Sky's never been just backdrop to human stories. It's almost always part of the plot itself.
Okay, so how did observing the sky help early humans develop calendars?
That was huge. The sky was basically their calendar and clock. They tracked the sun's path to understand seasonal cycles, knowing when to plant crops or prepare for winter. The moon's phases gave shorter cycles for timing tasks or rituals. Sunrises, sunsets, marked days, and the appearance of constellations at different times helped track longer cycles for agricultural practices or ceremonial purposes. Ancient cultures like Egyptians or Mayans used celestial observations to create really accurate calendars linked to farming, religious traditions, and even astronomical events. By watching stars and seasons, they could calculate events far into the future.
So, what discoveries were made to studying stars and planets?
Early studies were pretty fundamental. Figuring out planets weren't wandering lights, but moving bodies was a big one, like Ptolemy's geocentric model versus Copernicus's heliocentric one. Galileo, using telescopes, saw moons orbiting Jupiter and imperfections on Moon's surface, which basically ruined perfection ideas. Newton developed laws of motion based on observing how celestial bodies moved. Studying stars showed us that the universe is way bigger than humans once thought. It was literally the foundation for much of modern science, physics, astronomy, understanding gravity. Studying the sky shaped our view of universe over time.
So, how has modern technology changed our understanding of the sky?
Completely transformed it. Honestly, it's almost a different sky. Telescopes like Hubble or James Webb give views way beyond what the naked eye could see, revealing galaxies billions of light years away. Spectroscopy lets us analyze the composition of stars and planets from light wavelengths. Satellites and space probes explore atmospheres of planets, take high resolution images. Radio astronomy studies stuff invisible to normal telescopes. Now we understand dark matter, radiation in multiple spectrums. Tech didn't just improve views, it revealed stuff we couldn't have dreamt of knowing previously.
So, what is the difference between the sky and outer space?
Oh, that's a great distinction to make. The sky is technically part of Earth's atmosphere, the part you can see when you look up. Outer space is everything beyond that. There's no hard line, it's more gradual. It's where the atmosphere gets so thin it's practically non existent. Technically, there's a concept called the Kármán line at about 100 kilometers up. That's considered space since aeronautical vehicles can't sustain flight there. But really, it's about density. The sky's got breathable air, some moisture, and sweat protects us from space hazards. Space has basically none of that. No breathable air, radiation exposure, extremely cold temperature.
Why is space exploration considered an extension of studying the sky?
Um, Good point. That's a pretty natural connection. Studying the sky used to mean staring up, but space exploration lets us go beyond that literal perspective. Space exploration extends our ability to reach what we've always looked at, to physically go to bodies we used to only see as points of light. Getting missions to other planets helps confirm or disprove scientific theories made from observing patterns on Earth. Plus, there's that search for life elsewhere. The universe has expanded so much. The sky was always about expanding our knowledge and horizon. Space exploration just took that quest out into a new reality.
Can the sky be considered both a physical and philosophical concept?
Oh, definitely. It totally fits both categories. Physically, it's a tangible environment, the atmosphere with layers, density, weather. Philosophically, that's really interesting. The skies become symbolic for limitlessness, the divine, human insignificance. It can evoke questions about existence or spirituality. Seeing the same sky for thousands of years unites humans in some primal way. It's not just something we look at, but often a way to contemplate everything beyond our daily lives. Make art from something untouchable. Imagine possibilities. The sky sits between material environment and philosophical idea perfectly.
How does the sky influence weather and climate?
Ah, weather influencers. You mean people who work in weather forecasting and study climate patterns? Well, skies give them most of data. The way clouds form, their types, density, these let them predict rainfall, storms. They analyze conditions based on how skies look, like seeing haze or low clouds. Wind patterns get read from sky movements. Different seasons and day to night shifts create noticeable atmospheric pressure gradients. Basically, observing skies is essential to understand how weather dynamics shape atmospheric conditions.
Why do humans feel curiosity when looking at the sky?
That's a deep question. It really does trigger something primal in us. I think it comes from deep in our history. The sky used to hold all the unknowns, answers about origins, gods, future paths. It forces you to confront your place in something vast you can't fully understand. Those moments force contemplation, wonder it forces beyond us, even when we've got science explaining it now, something emotional is still there. Maybe humans just can't help but wonder when faced with something so huge they can't contain. The sky makes human curiosity shine.
In what ways does the sky connect science, art, and imagination?
It's amazing how the sky becomes an intersection point. Science analyzes its physical properties, atmosphere, light wavelengths, planetary orbits. Art uses its vastness as metaphor, backdrop for emotions, or inspiration for landscape paintings. Music, imagination turns it into mythologies, dreams of flight, outer world fantasies, from earliest paintings to sci fi novels. Sky's been launching pad. So all three connect. Observation fuels scientific discovery, emotion sparks artistic creations, wonder launches dreams beyond what we understand. The sky can show science's findings, artists' inspiration, or dreamers' visions. One view has multiple responses.
What message did the phrase beyond horizon suggest about human potential?
When we talk about beyond the horizon, it almost always points toward potential, right? Horizons are physical boundaries where our sight stops. Going beyond it suggests breaking limits, dreaming bigger than what's immediately visible. Historically, that phrase showed exploration of new lands or scientific quests expanding knowledge. In figurative terms, it means going past perceived limitations, self discovery, pushing personal growth or creative expression. It carries a hopeful message, potential beyond whatever seems achievable now. There's always something more if we're willing to challenge horizons.
Okay, so thank you so much for answering my questions. Bye.
Of course. You had some really thought provoking questions. The sky's a fascinating thing to explore. Bye.